Okay. Let's see if we can't get this going properly.
I have to say, well done. Great. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremont.
Oh, yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Duncan and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now, the guys that went on a beer run 2 years ago.
Welcome to BGFG episode 323. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix. Fremo Z again, unfortunately, cannot be with us. So I figured I'd just bang this one out. Because there's a lot to talk about. And a couple of the things that we're not going to be talking about today was we're not going to be discussing the debate. The debate was what it was. It was exactly what a lot of people thought it was going to be. It turned out to be what everybody thought it was going to be. So again, it's just one of those things. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to skip right over that stuff. And there's a lot of news to get to because apparently everything is for sale right now, unfortunately. So let's get right into it. This week's news.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up in this week's news, I thought it was interesting that California being California and doing what they want to do when they want to do it, and really kind of trying to be, I don't know, California. Texas is very similar to it, where they're going to do things their way, and that's the only way. California did something that was kind of shocking, and at the same time, it's a great idea. So they say by 2035, they'll have a ban on purchasing any gas-powered vehicle. Not owning one, purchasing one. And this should be able to cut greenhouse emissions by 35%. That is remarkable. It doesn't ban owning a powered vehicle. So everybody that has, really, California started a lot of the car culture. So they're not going to be banning those things, but it's going to be illegal to purchase one. And they can just purchase one out of state if they wanted to and have it delivered. But I think there is a lot of, I'm a gearhead, really. I mean, I love vehicles, and I think the gas-powered vehicles have a lot of potential. I think it's a great idea. You know, of course, the White House had to come out and say, this is how extreme the left gets. It's not I don't feel it's a left or right anything. I mean, the spokeshole for the White House even went as far as saying that this could hurt the economy. I don't think it's going to hurt the economy. I think what it's going to do is bolster the sale of electric vehicles. Electric vehicles, for the most part, I mean, yes, we all like to hear the engines rev, or a lot of us, I should say, like to hear the engines rev. But the bottom line is you're using your vehicle to get from point A to point B. That's it. Unless you're a teenager, and then you're just using it because you don't want to be home or on a bicycle. So doing this, I think, is just good. I think it's good for the environment. I think it's good for the planet as a whole. And I don't think there's anything wrong with electric vehicles. If I could have an electric power station at my house, relatively inexpensive and easy to get, I would buy an electric vehicle without a doubt to get back and forth to work. There's no need. If I want to enjoy a drive, then maybe I get a gas vehicle, maybe I get a special license or a special registration, and I drive it on the weekends, rip some donuts, I don't know, something like that. But to get back and forth to work or to take the kids where they need to go and drop off and pickups and things like that, I think an electric vehicle is brilliant. It's exactly what you need. And you save a lot of space. You'll have more space in vehicles. So, the White House saying that it's going to hurt the economy, they didn't say how or why, of course, but I don't think it's going to. And when it comes to cars and things like that, I get what they're saying. It's harsh when you see the traffic every day, especially if you're in the traffic and you realize, okay, the majority of these people are, in the car by themselves. They should be carpooling. I agree. The carpooling thing should happen, but it's not a normal thing. I mean, in some cases you can, but in a lot of cases you don't. It's just tough. And then you get into the whole Uber thing. So if you have like an Uber driver or a Lyft driver that's switched off of gas onto electric, that's again beneficial. Buses, gas operated, cabs, Ubers, Lyfts, electric operated, buses, electric operated, school buses, electric operated. I think that's a great step because those are going to be the ones that are on the road the most, especially trucks, long haul vehicles. Again, electric. I think that'll cut down a lot. They're on the road the most. With the economy changing and the way the direction for businesses are going and being more remote, there's less reason to drive anywhere, which is going to be great for carbon emissions. At the same time, you have the Amazon trucks, which are their fleet is going electric, which is great. And you have Uber and Lyft, if they get their shit together at some point, they'll probably be going electric. At least I think that's the smart thing for the business itself, is to go electric and maybe get a small fleet or require that a person that drives for you has an electric or semi-electric vehicle. But they're also, back to Uber and Lyft. I mean, these motherfuckers were out there. There's no easy. I usually don't like to swear until the second half of the show, but these guys were out there. That's how you got your food. That's how you got your little deliveries. I know my wife and I have abused them sometimes. They don't care as long as they get paid. And we've had stuff delivered, like an air conditioner delivered from one house to another. We've done that. So we've used it for many things, and they're great. And if you ordered anything during the pandemic, Uber Eats or Amazon, actually early on, I think it was some Amazon, but you could get stuff delivered. They're heroes too. And I don't mean that to belittle anybody else in like the medical field or anything. Those are beyond. First responders, that's beyond thank you. But when it comes down to like what you're doing on a daily basis, you got to thank the people that had, the Stop and Shops, the Whole Foods, those people that were open so that you can get your food and stuff. And then throw that over to the Uber and Lyft drivers that were also doing that during the pandemic, going into these places, taking the risks at the height of it to bring us food because we couldn't get out, or, were people that were immune compromised or had an underlying health condition that just basically didn't want to go out. They were still able to get things at a reasonable expense. So now Seattle is going to be making it so that Uber and Lyft drivers are paid a minimum wage, which I think is great. They're going to pay them, again, this is only the second city behind New York to do this. They're going to pay them 56 cents per minute when there is a passenger. And this should roughly, with the way their schedules go, it should bring them to about $16 an hour. Again, like anything else, and I hear this a lot and I see this a lot. People, I'm an Uber driver, that's what I do. Okay, you don't really do that. You're working maybe 10 hours a week total, or a couple of days out of the week. You're not even working the full day. You're taking a couple of rides to make a little bit of cash to cover whatever expenses you have that week, that month. You're not really doing it as a job. But if you wanted to do it as a job, that is now out there. You can do that. That's something that's feasible. If you're in Seattle or New York, you're going to have the ability to actually be paid as a minimum wage driver. And what I think is great is that having them listed as employees is going to require these companies to pay them benefits. And I think that's huge because a lot of these, I know several people that are Uber drivers. Well, one of them is a Lyft driver. And that's because their jobs were, right before COVID, their jobs were minimized and gone. they were never going to get back to it. One of them actually owned a salon, and she just couldn't do it anymore. There's just no way. She wasn't going to get the business. She wasn't going to get the business for months and months and months. She knew it, so she had to do something, and she actually likes doing this. That's something that she's going to do on a regular basis, and I think that's great. Um, for all of these people to be considered minimum wage employees, I think that's brilliant. What I don't think is brilliant, in kind of the last piece of news today, which is ironic unto itself, is the Ring drone. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but again, we're having Amazon, Lyft, Uber. You got Lyft and Uber out there delivering stuff. You got Amazon has their own trucks and their own fleet now for deliveries. They're sampling a lot of drone deliveries also in different parts of the country where drones will go down the street and drop off your stuff. I don't agree with that very much. I think the drone idea is bad. I always have. I don't like the idea. I think for news reporters, for journalists, for things like that, I think a drone is brilliant. You can put it up in the sky. You can get a good aerial view of things. I think for sporting events, also brilliant. I think for day-to-day people, I see a lot of them in retail buying these drones. And they're taking them out there, and they're having a good time, and some of them are trying to spy on other people. Some of them are just trying to have a good time and take pictures, but the long and the short is they're not keeping them for a long time. Either they're crashing them, destroying them, and bringing them in for their money back, which I think is funny into itself, or they're using them a few times and then they don't use them again. It's not something that you see regularly. But now Amazon turns around and they own Ring. So I used to have a Ring doorbell. I switched it out for a Nest. I didn't like the idea that Ring, and I get the idea. I do. I get it. If all the Ring doorbells on your street can be accessed by the local police department, you have a better chance of stopping burglaries. You have a better chance of stopping thefts. You have a better chance of catching criminals that are on the run. I think that's great. But at the same time, giving access to my Ring doorbell and network here in my house, I don't think is cool because, again, it's a trust thing. This is the reason why Apple doesn't allow anybody access into their devices. It's because, okay, I gave you access to my Ring doorbell, but who's to say at any point you have access to my network? Who's to say you can't look inside my network at anything else, whether it's one of my other Ring products or something like that? I don't like that idea at all in any way. So I chose to switch from Ring and go to Nest again. And I truly love Nest. I have Nest cameras all over my house, Nest doorbell, locks. I really like that product. I think it's very good. I think Google buying it changed around a few things. The Nest app is brilliant. I think Google's version of the Nest app is not so much. But you can use the two and you can get it to work. Ring, on the other hand, came out with a drone. This drone is tiny, okay? Ring wants to make sure that having cameras all throughout your house so that we don't get sued for anything. But they're taking it to a creepy other level. I mean, we've used the Nest cameras that we have here at the house to stop fights, settle arguments, see who's at the house, see who didn't take out the trash, see who spilt the milk and didn't clean it up. You know, those sort of things. We use that. And I know that's kind of weird, but it is fun being an adult and growing up and having kids of your own. It is nice to actually point the finger at somebody. Okay, it wasn't the not me guy that's always around the house. It was somebody, and here's how it happened. So it's very good, but they're taking the creepy factor to a whole nother level. They're calling this the Always Home Cam. And what it is, it's a little tiny drone that's in your house. It's in a box. Let's say for sake of listening to this right now, it's the size of a Kleenex box. Let's say that. And the drone, with its 4 propellers, sits inside that box. And when it's activated, it rises up out of that box, and the camera kind of hangs off a dongle at the bottom, and it flies around your house. It flies around your fucking house. No. There's no, oh, well, the Roomba does that. The Roomba does that, but it doesn't have a side hustle of trying to sell me shit. Okay? So the Roomba's good. Ring drone, not so much. So Ring's founder, Jamie Siminoff, says the idea is to provide multiple viewpoints of a home without using multiple cameras. If you have cameras set up in your house like I do properly, we don't have ones in the bathroom. We don't have ones in the bedrooms. You know, we have them in the common areas. That's fine. That's all you should need to be able to tell most things. Everything else is an invasion of privacy. But I don't want to get an alert at noontime when I'm at work because my dog decided that it's going to wake up from its blissful nap and go from the couch to the chair. I don't need the Ring drone to sense movement, get up and fly over, scare the shit out of the dog. The dog will be barking 150 times, waking everybody else up. And again, I just think it's a good idea within reason. You have to teach it the path in your house. You have to teach it where it can go. You can fly it on demand, or you can program it to run a certain path when you're not home and it hears movement or has any sort of other alert. And when it's done, it just goes right back down to the charging dock, which is nice. This little bad boy, if you decide to go down that road, is going to be next year at $250. $250 next year to have a drone randomly fly around your house. Unbelievable. All right, so let's get into this week's music. And in this week's music, I just want to say I bitch a lot. I bitch a lot about rock and roll and how we don't have any rock and roll, let alone heavy rock and roll or hard rock and roll. Hard rock. So my generation, we always grew up as having rock and roll like a Bon Jovi. Then we have hard rock, which was like, I want to say Def Leppard, but I would say more like Metallica. But Metallica kind of ventured into hard rock metal. Metal was always like Iron Maiden and those type of bands, where hard rock was really just the hard, gritty rock. It went in between the pop of rock and roll and the metal. It was what fit in between. And nowadays I bitch because we don't really have any. We have Greta Van Fleet, which I'm hoping the brothers don't argue and just break up. And then you have like Dirty Honey. They're another great band we featured here. But there hasn't been any really hard rock. Corey Taylor from Slipknot is a great guy. I mean, he's a phenomenal singer. He can do just about any genre. He's well respected in the music community, and it's really good. He started a band called CMFT, Corey motherfucking Taylor. And one of their first songs, I put 2 songs. If you go to the show notes, I put 2 songs in there. Stop CFMT, which features just about everybody he knows, including Tech Nine and just a bunch of others. But the song that I want to feature today was a song called Culture Head. And Culture Head is another one of those tracks. It's just really hard, really good. It's good. It's really good. So I want you guys to sit back and enjoy this. And it's hard rock, and I'm glad it's back. So give it a listen, and let's see what happens. We'll catch you on the other side for some other fun news.
Lie down
Corey Taylor, or CMFT, Culture Head on BGFG. And that, my friends, is hard rock. That's what my generation grew up at. That's what he talks about throughout the entire thing is this generation. You know, it's I just enjoyed that so much. It's nice to see rock again. It's nice to see it. I mean, yeah, Greta Van Fleet is definitely great at what they do. They do. They're more of a pop rock. They're rock and roll. Very sounding like 70s rock. And we featured, Dirty Honey. Dirty Honey is another one. That's like Southern rock, very much like the Black Crows, things like that. Just good stuff. But CMFT is just going to bring up the hard rock. And I love that so friggin' much. Oh, so freaking good. All right, let's get into games today because it's just, it's not going to make anybody happy at all.
Gaming.
All right, so first up in Stick Style. And again, don't forget, Stick Style is also one of our Twitch shows that we get to as often as we can to play games. I know a lot of it's me. In fact, all of it's me right now. And right now I'm just stuck on Ghost of Tsushima. It's just such a good game. I'm about halfway through. I'm on a little mini vacation from work, so I'm trying to get a lot of that done. Damn good game. Now, I don't know. It looks phenomenal now, and I don't know how it's going to look on the next-gen consoles. I don't. It's a disc-based game. I haven't seen a download for it. It's a PlayStation exclusive, and I'm one of those people that will tell you flat out, between God of War Ragnarok and Ghost of Tsushima, if you're on the fence about getting a PlayStation, that's the reason to get it. Those two right there. They're phenomenal games. If you're a racing person, you have the counter to Forza Motorsport, which is supposed to be coming out. Not Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport. The counter to that is Gran Turismo. And Gran Turismo is a great game. Absolutely, 110%. These are go-to games on that console. And I don't know. I'm not getting a new console yet, and here's why. So they're just there's no easy way to say it. They're just not fucking around. Okay, they're not anywhere. They're not anywhere. The reservations and they're just not anywhere. You can't get your hands on one. It's been a debacle, like we talked about in the show last week. It's been a complete debacle with all this pre-ordering of pretty much everything out there. It sucks. I can tell you from working in retail, we don't even know. We have no idea. People can say whatever. I know that my store's going to get them next week. No, you don't fucking know, okay? First of all, there's all sorts of rumors going around the sales channels and all the retail stores that it's going to be extremely limited quantity, and there's numbers floating around like, 50,000 to this one type of retailer, 100,000 to this other type of retailer, and then they have to split them up between their stores. And then they're talking about raffles at individual stores. Individual stores are going to get 2 or 3 and be able to pre-order 4. And there's all these weird things going on. And I understand it logistically, just if they don't make enough consoles. Both companies have come out and said, we're making enough consoles. Everybody's going to be able to get one by Christmas. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. They've said it before, and you had a hard time, but it wasn't impossible to get some of these consoles previously. But this time, this digital landscape. So I want the sheeple to come in, and this is what we need to explain to the sheeple, okay, as a listener of this show. You need to explain that there's essentially 3 consoles now. 4 consoles, essentially. Now, there's always going to be Stadia, and I think Amazon's coming out with one, and Apple's got their gaming. Those don't matter. They really don't. You have Nintendo. That'll always be Nintendo. They will be fine. Don't worry about them. Are their shit's hard to find? Yes, because they're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They're a gaming company. They're not owned by a bigger conglomerate. So you have basically 3 main ones, really. You have Sony's PlayStation. You have Microsoft's Xbox. And you have computer gaming. You cannot discount that. So whether it's AMD or NVIDIA, we're going to use NVIDIA as an example because they're the more popular. NVIDIA, you cannot get a card. You couldn't get it the day of. Scalpers are kind of screwed, the idiots that actually did that aren't gamers because they have no way to sell it outside of doing it person to person to somebody. Nobody's buying them on eBay, and people have created other bots to jack up the price, like we spoke about on the show. The PlayStation and the Xbox, you just simply can't get. So, if you have the opportunity, get on a waiting list, sign up for alerts, have your money ready, whether it's cash or in your checking or on your credit card, make sure that's ready to go and everything's all legit on that. Pre-orders are barely available, and if you can find one, snag it up. If you get an email, check it. Make sure, because that's going to go quick. I've already heard of people that have had the alert. They've put it in their cart. They've grabbed their phone and checked to make sure that the money's in their account. They've gone to checkout, and it's gone. So there's apparently a lot of these companies, retail companies, are now, if you have it in your cart, it's on a timed basis. If you don't read everything on the damn page, please. If you don't check out in a certain amount of time, it will kick it out and somebody else will be available. And I guarantee you're not getting it again because it's not going to be available. Those three right there has been nothing but an absolute shit show. So the 3090 is just, you shouldn't buy it. The 3090 there's no reason to buy a 3090 for $1,500 unless you're, I don't know, a developer, or you work for Linus Tech Tips, or you do a YouTube channel that crunches video and compression and all that shit all the time. No, don't bother. 3080 is where it's at. It's double the speed of the 2080 Ti, roughly. It's double the performance with half the price. The 3070 is supposed to be coming out. They've postponed it once, I believe, but now it's going to be out, I believe, the end of October. The 3070 is essentially the same power as a 2080 Ti. It should be reaching the same levels as a 2080 Ti. Now, a 2080 Ti is the card to have up until NVIDIA announced the new ones. It was the card to have. It was anywhere between $1,000 and $1,400 to get one. If you could get it for that price, most of the time it was maybe a little bit more, and it was the creme de la creme of cards. It destroyed everybody. I have a Radeon 7, which is a flagship card, and it destroys my card. And my card's a damn good card. 12 gigs of RAM on the card. It's just a great card, and it handles everything I throw at it. I'm running 170 frames in games and stuff, yet the 2080 Ti destroys it. Well, the 3080 card, as we've spoke about before, is double the speed. It's double the performance, and it's only $700, $600 to $800. Let's say that. That's a fucking bargain. That's a damn bargain if I've ever heard one ever. And the 3070 is coming out, and that's going to be about $400, and that's going to give you the same performance as a 2080. Now, in this day and time right now, if the 30 series cars weren't introduced, everybody would be talking about the 2080 and how good it is. How on some games you can get over 200 frames per second. On shitty games, you're getting like 60 frames a second. And on your more mediocre or average AAA titles, AA titles, you're getting over 100 frames. That's damn good. I don't care who you are. That's just phenomenal. It's a great card. But with all of this shit, all of it, it doesn't matter. The 3070 comes out. It's the same thing as the 2080. They're going to sell a shit ton of those. And they've already said that they're pulling that back a little bit. They're not even going to be doing the 3070 the way they did the 3080 because there was so many bots. There were so many things. They're trying to figure out a different way, so they postponed it again till the end of October. All I can tell you is that you gotta be diligent and do the best possible shit you can do to get any one of these devices. Whether it's a video card for your computer because you're a computer gamer, which I can go into a whole nother thing about computer gaming too. And I've actually been asked a couple of times to do a specific stick style show on just the idea of what's the pros and cons of everything. And I run all three people. I run the PS4, I run the Xbox, and I run the computer. And on the computer, I'm in front of the computer most of the time. And I can do everything from use Elgato's game capture to capture either one of my consoles, which are usually either on my desk or right behind me. I can use PlayStation's Now app to play PlayStation Now games. Xbox is completely integrated decently. That's what I mean. It's a whole show. The Xbox is integrated, or your Xbox account is integrated into gaming that you're doing on your PC, and it's relatively well done. Get into that at a different time. So it's really your option of what you want to do. As long as you're enjoying the game, and this is what I try to teach my kids and other people. Yes, especially the sheep. Look, enjoy the damn game. As long as it's not tearing and taking your experience away from the game, then it's fine. Whether it's at 60 frames, 100 frames. When you get into competitive gaming, that's when it really matters. Your refresh rate, your response time, your frames per second, whether you can overclock your GPU and CPU, all of that matters later. Whether the hardware you're having is getting old, or you're just getting to that competitive layer that you need these type of things. And I do not disagree. I have 3 of my sons game. 2 of them are very good gamers, but they like just gaming. They enjoy it. I have 1 son that's very competitive gaming. Yes, he's going to need a 240 hertz monitor eventually. He's going to need these higher end things, these more DPI on their mouse and all these things because he's competitive and he's good at it. That's understandable. But for the majority of the people, whether you have 60 frames or 100 frames, you're not going to tell because you're going to be enthralled in the game. I play on Game Capture HD. I play in 720p, Ghost of Tsushima, and it's probably running at, well, you know what? It's running anywhere between 30 and 60 frames. It's fine. I'm enjoying the story. It looks great. When I play on the TV, it looks better because it's in a natural 1080p. It's wonderful. It's great. It looks great. I love it. I enjoy the story. So if it drops to like 60 frames or 30 frames, as long as I don't see it on the screen immediately, I'm not going to care. I'm not. It's just the way it is. So when it comes to these consoles, and just make the best, just log in, get on the waiting list, set up alerts, do whatever you have to do, and try to get one of these things, because this system, this series that we're going to see this Christmas, I think is going to be the most game-changing setups you will see between the 3070 and the 3080, the PlayStation 5, and the Xbox. I think all of these are going to change the way we play games for multiple reasons. Now, one of the things on these consoles, which is always an issue, is space. On a PC, if you're a PC gamer, you can just upgrade your hard drive to whatever you want. You can upgrade it to a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte. You can do like I do. You have a smaller operating system drive, then you have a secondary drive for your games. That could be 3, 4, 5, 6 gigabytes, whatever you want, at whatever speed. I have an old mechanical drive in mind because it's just what I happen to have here at the time. And I want to say it runs at 7,200 RPM, and that's fine for me. I don't care. I think the load times are okay. SSD would be better, and as the price comes down, people are going to be doing that more, but 2 drives are standard. On your PlayStation, I need a drink. Excuse me 1 second. Oh, my God, I'm so parched.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right. So what I was saying was the console wars, add in the PC and do your due diligence. That was a hard word. And just do your research and figure out what's best for you. Find the games that you are interested in or you've played before and you want to play again. That's your best bet. As for hard drives and stuff, the PlayStation and the Xbox have always had about, and recently I should say, have had 1 terabyte drives. That's what you should get, and it's very rare that you fill it. But when you start downloading games like Warzone, like Ghost of Tsushima, there's a lot of Borderlands. They're massive games. They're huge, gigabyte size. They're going to fill up your drive quick, especially if you want immediate access to them. They're going to fill up your drive quick, plus the operating system, plus whatever other features are being downloaded to your console. So on pretty much all of my machines now, I have an external hard drive plugged in. I usually try to go with a manufacturer, though you can buy whatever external hard drive you want from the store and just plug it in. It'll format it. It'll ask it if you want to format. You'll format it. It'll become married to that particular device. Good idea. You can get any size you want, really. I don't think there's a limit, though there might be. My gut's telling me there's a 3 or 4 terabyte limit, but even then, if that is truly the limit, you can fit a lot of shit on there. I have those external drives and I move games to them. The theory behind that is that on either one of the consoles, you can pull the hard drive, go to a friend's house, plug in the hard drive, log into your account, and have all the stuff there. As for cloud services on these devices, Xbox, I think, has nailed the cloud service. It's just always there. It's always on. It always backs up. It's good. I can go on any console, log into my account, and bang, it's there. The PlayStation is a little different. You have to upload. You have a limited amount of space on their servers, and you upload your game. Ghost of Tsushima, I upload to the cloud whenever I'm done playing it up here because I have to kick out the disc, so it reminds me. Like I'm reminded, I should say, not it reminds me. I'm reminded that I need to back up that game. So I back up that game, save to the cloud. It overwrites it. It's not even kludgy. It's easy. Once you see it, you go, oh, yeah, that's where it should be. And then I go downstairs or I go to somebody else's house. I log into my account and I pull that download from there, put in my disc, and, Bob's your uncle. Everything's working. Now, what they're going to do with the new consoles coming out, the Xbox and the PlayStation, you're going to have these unique ways of storage. So you're going to have the PlayStation has like 826 gigabytes because they're using this very unique system. And there's supposed to be an external drive that you can buy to plug in to expand your storage. Xbox already released theirs, or I should say announced theirs. It's going to be a Seagate 1 terabyte external drive. It's going to be very similar to the 360 plug-in memory card, which I thought was brilliant. I shouldn't say brilliant. I thought it was very smart. They switched it over from a memory card to a USB, which was branded Xbox and stuff. I've had both. I thought they were very cool. I was able to bring it back and forth. I bought my son one. He was able to bring it from his house to my house without a problem, for the most part. But it was without a problem because your stuff was saved on there, including your account profile. So you were able to play on the 360 through the memory card, which was a very cool feature. Well, now these guys are doing very proprietary things with how they're distributing media over the system. I think it's the best way to say it. They're going to make it so that, yes, it's proprietary, but it's going to run really better. For instance, the Seagate 1 terabyte external drive is going to cost you about $219 on the Xbox. It'll replicate the velocity architecture that they're putting on the new Xbox to make everything run a lot faster. It's an NVMe. It's a very small factor. It's very much like a square memory card from the 360 back in the day. I don't know what they're doing, which, again, is probably proprietary stuff, but you're basically plugging in an SSD, which is why it's proprietary. Everybody's like, why can't I just plug in a USB hard drive? You probably can in the future, but it's not going to have that velocity architecture on it. The reason why is because if they're using an NVMe, and again, this is something to tell all your wonderful people that are always going to be, it's a proprietary architecture to run faster. That's why. This is an SSD. This is an SSD that plugs in directly via NVMe. So it's going to run faster and it's going to run more unique than a USB connection and 2.0 or 3.0 USB. It's going to run a lot different. It's going to run better. And it's going to be directly plugged into the board, for lack of a better term. I think that's brilliant. Another thing that's brilliant that I think is the Xbox new parent app. Sorry, that was a slip. It's basically a parent app. So Microsoft's tried this parenting stuff on their products for a very long time. MSN, Hotmail had a way. They failed. Every few seconds you get a call from across the house, or you get an email, or you get a text that they need authorization to get to a site that they just want to get for school news a lot of times. But it could have been anything, like literally anything that it deemed remotely underage. I mean, if you have a 13-year-old kid, that's a very slippery slope. There's games that they shouldn't be playing that don't fit the content rating that are fine, that they can play, especially for whatever they're going to play it for. Or playing, I have one child that plays without a headset. He doesn't like talking to people online. He doesn't have any interest. He just wants to play. So he doesn't play online, so I don't care what he does. I don't need to authorize every single thing he does. Xbox system it fell into the same problem of having either your kid locked down and they weren't able to play any games, even if ones that you determined were okay. Once you locked it down, it was very difficult to get them to play that game. And it looks like from this new Xbox Parent app, it looks like they finally get their shit together. You can actually set up how you have your child play days of the week, times of that day. So you can say have them play on a school day, only 3 hours, but between 5 and 6 they had dinner, so they couldn't play then. But between 6:30 and 7 they could. You can do whatever. My kid showers at 7, so between 6:30 and 8 o'clock, they're not allowed to do anything. They just need to do homework or whatever. Whatever you want to choose it to do, you can set it up like that, and it looks good on paper, and it looks good on their app, and I love that. But good luck. And I say this because I've lived through this. I wanted my son. And I think I spoke about this on a past show, that I literally wanted me and my son to play Star Wars together, and you could not set it up. No matter what I did, he was never allowed to play the game. I contacted Xbox. Xbox insisted over time and time again. Said that it was a problem with the. I think it was EA. Was it EA? Oh shit, I don't remember. It was the original Battlefront game. And I called and I called and I called. Then at the final thing was they wanted me to actually send my son's. I shit you not. I am not kidding. They asked me to literally send them a copy of my son's birth certificate and his social security card to prove that not only was he real, but he was over the age of 18 to play. I'm like, it doesn't matter that he's over 18. I get it. You have an MSRP of 18. I get it. I am sitting next to him. I want him to play this particular scene. He loves Star Wars. This is what I want him to do. They would not budge. They would not. At one point, Xbox sent him the information. Again, this is the third-party stuff that we talk about all the time. Xbox sent the information about this child, and the child was determined that he was underage. That was when he was 12, I think it was, and that's when they requested the information. That's when they got it. He's not 12 anymore. They don't care, because according to the date of his birth, he is not 18 again. I'm like, he's 16. He's driving a car. He's doing fine. I want to play Star Wars with him. Nope. Can't do it. Make a different account. I'm like, he's not making another account. He's got my name and Junior added to it. No, he's not going to make another account. It's not going to happen. They're like, well, he can't play the game then. I'm like, you're unbelievable. Hopefully this app will not go that route, because this app is absolutely what is needed for if you have young kids, especially, and I implore you, trust me when I tell you, you might sit there and look at Fortnite. Oh, my friends are all playing and all that happy horse shit. Yes, your kid might be ostracized, and I've seen it with a couple of my son's friends, where their parents are strict, very, very strict. And it comes to 15, 16 years old, and they're still not able to play those games everybody else is playing. I get it. And we all learned a lot of life lessons playing video games online when it first came out. But it is really, really toxic now. Before, occasionally you get in trouble, or you get people swearing, or you hear things you don't want to hear, or dirty words, or situations, sexual innuendos. Now it's completely toxic. It is bad, and some games are worse than others. It's really disgusting, the stuff that you hear. Just people have no filters at all, and it's really sad. So if you're going to lock down your kids, I suggest you do it with the Xbox app. I haven't seen anything from PlayStation like this. I don't know if it exists. Send us an email at bgfgshow@gmail.com if you know of a situation that exists on PlayStation that this works. But I think this is the best option right now for Xbox. If you have an underage kid and you've set them up like that, and you gave them their own account, you have it under your family account, which is the best idea. If you have a account as well, and if you don't have an account, make an account and add your kid to it as a child. It makes life a lot easier. You can drop money to them, and more importantly, you can use this app. So with this app, you have the ability to change all of these things, these times that you can use it. You can shut it off remotely and just be like, time for bed. I told you, time for bed. Click. Done. I told you to save the game. Click. But at the same time, I want to say, before we go into the next part, I want to say, please, know your kid's game. Don't just be a douche canoe. Some of us in our age group did not have games. Some of us in the next generation did not come up with gaming. You didn't want to, whatever the case was. Don't be a douche canoe. You know, give your kids a break. Understand what the game is. If they're doing a match on Destiny, a Fallen thing or something, you know, understand that it's going to take them a half an hour, 45 minutes, whether they just started or not. If they just started, shut them off. But if they started like 20 minutes ago, don't destroy the game, man. That's kind of shitty. It really, and then they'll get known as somebody that can't play. So regardless of how good they are, every time they get in, they're going to get kicked out. Halo did that for a while. If you quit too many matches because you were overpowered or underpowered rather, they just ban you for like a night or something. Anyway, before we end Stick Style, I just want to give you an update on the NVIDIA thing. Like I said before, one of the problems with the 3080 cards, if you know somebody or you have one yourself, the 3080 card did have some issues coming out. There's apparently two types of capacitors on it, and they don't like to be overclocked at all. So NVIDIA released a couple of driver updates. If you don't know how to update drivers, look up online how to update your NVIDIA driver. If you do, go and update the driver. There's been, I think, 2 since I even wrote this story. There's been 2, and it's apparently fixed several of the problems with not only the Founders Editions, but the aftermarket ones like from Gigabyte, Asus, MSI. There's been updates for them, and it supposedly fixes it. Now, a lot of people on the forums are saying it's just a Band-Aid because essentially it's a capacitor, it's a hardware piece, but we'll have to see what happens. Time will tell. All right, let's get into the last segment of the night. I don't even have words for the next set of stories. It's bad enough. It's bad enough. I'm actually going to take a drink of whiskey right now, just because I gotta talk about this. So, I'm just wondering if the International Space Station has become a mall at this point, like a mall. Seriously. So the press release stated, and I quote, "Later this month, up to 10 bottles of the new Estee Lauder skincare serum will be launched to the space station. Yes, you heard that correctly. Money has become so hard up for NASA and our space exploration, which is a sad thing unto itself. But there was a press release that said later this month, up to 10 bottles of a new skin cream are going to be launched to the space station. Okay, so this is apparently some skin cream that's got Chronolux Power Signal technology, whatever the fuck that is. And it's $186 a bottle, okay? It is literally fucking going to the space station, the International Space Station. And they already told astronauts to film some things with this skin cream, with the products that they're sending up there, so that they can do fucking ads.
Shut up!
No, seriously, so they can do ads. Not only do we have the President of the United States, the President of the free world, doing fucking ads in the Oval Office for anything from meats to just fucking doing ads in the Oval Office. And now we're actually going to have Estee Lauder sending shit to the space station in hopes that astronauts will do ads in the space station. What the fuck? I mean, I know they said they wanted more private sector investments, but this is some bullshit, man. If they really need that much money, put that shit on a ballot or something. Again, this is what's wrong with our political system. Put that shit on a ballot. I guarantee you that the majority of the BGFG group, as well as our age group itself, Gen X, we will totally donate money and divert money, even from the military at this point. We are so fucking far advanced in the military that there's nobody that can hold a candle to us. We can shut shit off for a little while and maybe divert a little bit of that money over to NASA, just so we can do shit again. I mean, this is fucking insane. You're sending up. Are we going to have kiosks at the International Space Station now? Are we going to have fucking group flights from some jabroni fucking guy down the street that does cruises too? Take this flight up there. You can sit with a couple of astronauts. It'll be like going to a green room, meet and greet the band. It's the green room, man. They're told to go in there, stop by, say hello, glad hand people, and leave and go to where the real party is. I know. I worked in radio. That's the way the shit happens. Is this gonna be like the green room or shit? Like an astronaut's gonna be assigned. There's gonna be a section of the ISIS that could stay there, the International Space Station. That people are gonna fly in on a commercial jet from Virgin Airlines or Space Lines and be able to do something. This is just stupid. This is stupid. Let's get back to the moon. Literally, let's get back to the moon. Last time I read, there's so many questions on the moon. So let me just say this. Did we land on the moon? Yes. When we land on the moon, it's actually got a hollow sound, and that's a fact. They've done it like 3 or 4 times with different landing modules, landing it harder, and it makes an echo sound, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, we've never seen the dark side of the moon. It doesn't show to us. Number 3, the idea of the moon, where it is, the shape it is, how it is, the size it is astronomically impossible. Number 4, all the craters on the moon, you don't believe me, look at it. All the craters on the moon are relatively the same depth. We have craters on the Earth, and there's giant whole ones that have created lakes. There's little shallow ones. So why the fuck does a moon have a standard depth? We've been speculating about this shit for years on BGFG. My question is, why haven't we gone back? We did like 13, I think, 13 different trips. Why haven't we gone back? The E3, the dust that's on there, is supposedly one shuttle bay full can power the electric for the entire grid for the United States for a year. Why haven't we gone back? There's so much shit that goes on the moon that we don't understand and we don't know. But we're supposedly going back by 2024. The Artemis plan seems to want to. This Artemis plan is not only we're going to go back to the moon, but we're going to search more undiscovered spots. I think that's a hell of an idea. Here's what I like to see. I like to see these undiscovered spots, or if you're going to put a rover on the moon, which I think is what you should do, and why we haven't, I don't know. But put a rover on the moon. Like, ask yourself this. Why didn't we send a rover to the moon before we did Mars to check and make sure everything was going to work properly? Why did we just go to fucking Mars? Why did we do it on the moon first? Okay. But now I think that's what we should do. Go there and discover it. But here's the thing. Make the feed public. Make the constant feed public. Now you have nothing to hide. The moon rover is a public feed that you can go to moonrover.com anytime you want, and you can watch a live thing. If some shit's going to go down, there's going to be fucking crazies out there. They're going to record that shit 24/7 and analyze the shit out of it. Good, let them. Let them. Because if you have nothing to hide, then that's one of the ways. Now, there's ways to get around that, of course. But at the same time, at least you're giving it out there. I don't know. It's just, that's my theory. That's my theory on all of that. That's about it. It was a quick show, not too long. The game stuff's really got me tripped out. But that's about it for this week. Tents down. Show's over.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.
And I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to give us a follow. At the same time, if you go to BGFG Online, you'll find it's the worst website on the net. It's so old, and I don't feel like updating it, and I don't feel like moving it. It's just ugly and old, and that's cool. It's the information that's on it that should be important. So you can go there, and that's where you can download the episodes. You can also go to, as you heard, you can pretty much go anywhere. Catch us at Stickstyle on Twitch. And hopefully